Hey, this is Sunil Ramlall. One of the important components of the human resource management function is human resource planning. In this little broadcast, I will share with you the concept of human resource planning and strategies that go into human resource planning. I will share with you several of the components and explain how an effective HR strategy will encompass human resource planning. Furthermore, human resource management departments and line managers will hopefully view this as a beneficial component, especially given the importance of ensuring we have the right number of people at the right number of time for any given task that we're doing. When we look at the overview of the human resources planning process, we're looking at the forecast of labor demand and the available supply of talented of the human source of human capital. I put it that way. What's the forecast of labor surplus or shortage? Second, goal setting and strategic planning. Then third, program implementation and evaluation. So as we look at the demand for our products and services over the next, let's say, a year, we incorporate all of these here, the forecast for our labor demand. How much of a labor supply do we need in order to meet customers' demands? What's happening in the industry? What's happening globally as far as the demand is concerned for the product? And then, of course, all of these here come into play. Forecasting can be defined as the attempt to determine the supply of and demand for various types of human capital, as it means predicting areas within the organization where there will be a fluctuation in the demand for the labor. And the leading indicators are basically an objective measure that accurately predicts future labor demand. Forecasting stage of human resource planning. 1. Determine labor demand. Mentioned earlier, this is derived from the product or service demand external in nature. So, for example, if you're a target corporation, you're selling winter jackets. What is the projected forecast likely to be, a weather forecast that is, to be, for example, a Minnesota winter? Then, given that, that is very cool, of course, we know typically how many winter jackets we may need. Similarly, look at the automobile industry or in the airline industry. What's the demand like for the product or service? And you do your staffing. Some months within the airline industry are much busier than others. You look around the holidays, there is a temporary staffing where airlines increase the number of employees they have significantly as a means to ensuring flights are safe. You have people, the highest level of customer service, etc. Everything that we expect in a good airline company. The determined labor supply, you look at the internal movements caused by, it could be transfer, it could be promotion, it could be voluntary turnover, retirement, etc. You look at teachers, for example, within the school districts and major metropolitan areas. If you look at in Minnesota here, Minneapolis and St. Paul, lots of teachers are retiring and have been retiring over the past few years, and this trend is continuing. So do we have an influx of teachers coming in, and our universities preparing adequate number of competent, qualified teachers to replace those whom are retiring? And given the number of students coming through the school systems, there are also transitional matrices we use to identify employee movements in different job categories over time. And this would be incorporated with the succession planning programs that we may have in organizations. So then we determine the labor supply, surplus or shortage, understand and compare the forecast and demands there. Options for reducing expected labor surplus. We can take on several strategies, from downsizing pay reductions, demotions. Again, it's all part of reducing the labor costs. What can we do? This is critical, especially those of us in a growth industry, or if our organization is doing well and growing. What are some options that we have for avoiding the expected labor shortage? One, overtime. It might not be prudent to just go and hire new employees. You have to do training and all of that. So one means is to utilize the overtime option. Temporary employees, we have to keep in mind there are some advantages and disadvantages. The level of psychological contract, the engagement might not always be there, but then you have some really talented employees coming in also who can do well, and then you don't have to pay the extra labor costs as far as health insurance and so on. Some companies choose to outsource. Again, we build in turnover reductions, etc. Downsizing, for all the obvious reasons, if our company is not doing well, we cannot really afford the high labor costs that we may have today. So we have to go through a downsizing process. That's a planned elimination of employees to enhance organization competitiveness. We look at several of the large organizations today are looking to reduce the number of people they have. And this could come because of automation. It could be because of better technology, etc. Why do we downsize? Of course, reduce labor costs. There are technological changes, reducing the need for labor. We have robots, for example, in the automobile industry, who can do lots of what people used to be doing historically. Mergers and acquisitions reduce bureaucratic overhead, and organizations change location of where they do business. What are some possible negative effects of downsizing? One for sure is the lower long-term profit, performance, productivity. And you may ask, well, why is that? Well, you have X number of people and you reduce that by 20%. The output that you're having will obviously decrease unless the 80% who are there picked up that. And we know there is a point at which employees will stop improving on their output. There's a max. So we will lose productivity and performance over time. Second, they're disrupting that social network needed for creativity and innovation. And that loss of talent, you are losing people who had the ability to be innovative, to contribute to the bottom line of the organization. Of course, early retirement programs, average age of US workforce is increasing. Baby boomers are not retiring early due to many are more healthy. Some fear that Social Security will be cut. There is no mandatory retirement except in a couple of situations, for example, pilots and so on. Collapse of the financial and housing markets, individuals lost their savings, so now they have to work to maintain themselves and be able to save some more for retirement. Many employers try voluntary attrition among older workers, providing incentives for early retirement, etc. We could also utilize temporary employees. Temporary employees free company from many of the administrative tasks and financial burdens. They are often times tested and trained by a temporary agency, and they bring an objective perspective and experience, having worked and maybe working in multiple organizations within a year. Outsourcing has many positives, but also has many challenges also. We've seen where companies have gone overseas as means to reducing labor cost and finding talented labor supply, and soon thereafter brought those call centers, whatever it might be, back to the organization, back into the country. Well, uh, we choose an established large outsourcing vendor. We look at jobs that are proprietary or require tight security. Start small and monitor for quality. Offshoring is outsourcing where jobs leave one country and go to another. We will look at the organizational recruitment process. And this is fairly elementary. Many organizations use different processes, but this sort of captures what we are trying to do. A vacancy exists. What job choices do we have? Applicant characteristics. Where are we going to find our resources? Are recruiters being effective? Are we using company policies and practices? All of that. Right. Keep in mind the recruitment sources and the methods we are using for recruitment today. With the availability of social media, it has become one of the most effective means of attracting and recruiting qualified candidates into organization. For example, LinkedIn. LinkedIn probably has become the most dominant source of finding qualified candidates. The networking power that LinkedIn brings, it's probably unmatched. So as we look at human resource planning, we're using labor supply and demand forecast to anticipate labor shortages and surpluses to enhance organizational success and reduce human suffering. We want to minimize the impact it has on people. We could replace suffering, but we want to enhance productivity. HR recruiting creates an applicant pool should a labor shortage occur. Organizations can use recruiters to influence an individual's perceptions of jobs. Recruiters are supposed to be really good at marketing, also be able to sell the organization. So as we look at human resource planning, we definitely see this as one of the important components of the role of a manager and the role of the human resource generalist, the business partner. We have to ensure we have the right quality, right number of individuals that would help our organizations grow, and to ensure that the burden does not fall more so on individuals who are with the organization currently, to ensure we have right number of qualified talent necessary to meet the demands of our customers, and to be able to forecast that effectively for the year and thereafter in the future. Of course, we use historical data and so on to help us plan for that. So hopefully this provided a decent overview of human resource planning, the importance. I encourage you to look at various statistical methods as a means, descriptive stats, even the simple correlation, etc., to be able to plan effectively, to have the right number of people, and given the demand of projects you're working on, etc. Right. Visit my website, sunilramlall.com, for more detailed information, papers, and so on. Take care and have a good day. Right.